Yes, I was just wondering if you suggest that my husband and I keep track of our budget and review it monthly.
I can understand why that could be a touchy question. Many couples struggle with the discussion of debt or the discussion of budget. These days, there's usually dual incomes coming into a household, or if it is just one income and then one person is a stay-at-home parent, then the discussion of how the money is spent can be a sensitive issue. But I do think that makes it all the more important. Financial stress is the number one cause of separation in couples, so it's important to be open and honest. I've known so many couples who told me that when they entered into the relationship or even when they got married, they didn't realize the debt that their partner carried into that relationship with them, and it became a source of relationship strain. So, this whole taboo about not discussing finances, and of course, yes, too early on it could come across the wrong way, but once you start to get serious in a relationship and you're talking about sharing financial responsibilities, it's important that you know how much your income is together and how much of that is being spent. What are the avenues for all of the expense that's going out? And to approach it with a level of just being sensitive, because money is very personal and everybody comes from different walks of life, and even if you've come from a similar background, the way that each person spends their money or has done in the past, what they might be ashamed of, is very personal. And so to approach something like finances needs to be handled delicately, openly, honestly, to be able to, if you're struggling to get your partner, for example, to reveal their budget and how much money they make and spend, it could be that there's something there that they're ashamed of or they're worried what you're going to think. So to try and approach it not in an angry or judgmental way, but in a way that says, how are we going to achieve our goals together? And the only way that you can know what your goals are and how you get from where you're at to where you're going is to know the ins and outs and your budget and to review it regularly. So I do think it's important to have a monthly review, to have the flexibility as well when things change, because life happens and things change, requirements, even if it's a new job and someone's making more money, there may be a bigger requirement for them to spend. Maybe they have a longer commute. They have to get lunch out more often. And if their budget for that isn't increased, it's going to put strain and then possibly resentment in the relationship. So being open to the changes that happen and approaching it from a sense of what are our mutual goals that we need to accomplish, whether they're short term or long term. Maybe you see that one of you is going to need a new vehicle next year, or you're trying to buy a house. There's a place that you want to move to so that your kids go to such and such school, and then bearing in mind if you have kids, the future of them and what their college tuition is going to be. So when you start thinking, long term, so it's something that you build, and it's not going to be instantaneous, that exactly how your budget looks every month to achieve your goals, and that's why you have to revisit it regularly. And be open with each other. And when you've failed in your budget, if you set aside a portion that you can spend on personal care or whatever, and you've gone over it, to have the openness to be honest about that and maybe revisit what happened, what was the emotional response that you had that caused you to overspend, and how can that be addressed. It's very important.